Hi guys, it's Izzibel here. Today I am scrapping day 14 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. This is the sketch that we'll be working with today. It was created by Jessica Michaels, and the prompt over at Dottie About Flair has incorporated mixed media. Now this sketch calls for 2 photos and some hexagons. I'm going to use these 2 photos of my daughter. I was playing around with some filters and turned her into a comic book character on the way home from a trip. The paper that I decided to use are from this English Garden booklet that I purchased at Joann's. I just pulled similar colors out of it, and what I'm going to do is cut hexagons, but I'm going to border the hexagons so that it's almost like the lighter color paper is going to be on the top, and then the darker like purple look will be the border. Only because these photos that I'm using have like a purple tint in it, I wanted to incorporate some purple. Now I did bring in some white to border the photos just so that it would pop against the burgundy. Well, it's more burgundy, but it shows purple on the video. Just so that it would pop off of that, because it was blending in too much. It almost didn't look like I bordered it. Now that I've got all of the hexagons adhered, I'm just going to go ahead and place them where I want them. And then I'm going to take a pencil and just kind of lightly mark the area where I'm going to be using the mixed media. Now there are 2 clusters of heavy mixed media on the top left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner. I am going to get to the mixed media, but before I do that, there's almost like a honeycomb design going down the sketch. I don't have a honeycomb stamp, so what I did was, I do have a die-cut honeycomb. So what I did was I just pulled out a bunch of black scrap pieces and ran it through the die-cut machine a couple of times, and all I'm going to do is take scissors and create a design that I want. Now, in order to do this, I just have to cut off all the end pieces, and then I'm going to glue them down like this. So I'm going to do that to the whole design on how I want it, and then go from there. So this is what they look like once I'm done, but before I adhere them down, I'm going to do the mixed media. Now what I'm going to do is pull in 4 different colors. I'm going to use 2 Tim Holtz, 1 Distress Oxide in Dried Marigold, and another Distressed Ink in Aged Mahogany. And then I'm going to use 2 inks from Close to My Heart. One is called Sangria, and the other one is the Toffee. I really enjoy doing this packaging technique just because it allows me to get a lot of the ink on the page without looking like I intentionally put it where it's falling. Now I'm going to do this with all 4 colors just in the same general area, and then that's going to complete the mixed media that I have for these 2 clusters. I did not gesso my page just because I didn't think that I was going to be using, even though the sketch looks like there's a lot, I didn't think I was going to be using a lot. And I got a little bit impatient. I used painter's tape to hold it down, kind of just keep it from warping too bad. It'll still warp, it just won't warp as bad. But I got a little impatient and I pulled the painter's tape off a little too soon before the paper was actually dried, and it did warp a little more than I wanted it to. Once it gets into the book, it's not going to bother me. It's going to end up flattening out on its own. Now to get all of these back on, because I have to figure out where these hexagon honeycomb pattern pieces that I cut are going to lay. And this is going to be the challenging part just because it's not a solid piece. I literally have to puzzle piece it together and then adhere it so that it won't shift on me. But yeah, it does take some time for me to figure out what pieces I want where. Eventually I do get it, and then I adhere everything. I'm just gonna show you how I connected them. So all I did was just put glue on one of the hexagons and then attached it. And then that way those pieces are gonna stay, and I'm gonna move on to the next piece that I have to get down. I'm gonna do this all the way down and the sketch pattern design back to where I would like it. I haven't adhered the honeycomb design down just yet. I'm going to put double-sided adhesive on the hexagons, place them where I want them to sit on the honeycomb, and then once I get that done, I'm going to flip the whole piece over. I'm once again gonna roll the adhesive on the hexagons, but then I'm gonna take my Nuvo glue and just outline the hexagons that are not sitting. Okay, so that's confusing. I'm going to outline with the Nuvo glue the honeycomb design that doesn't have a hexagon sitting on top of it. And that way, my whole piece will be secured on the 12 by 12. I think that makes better sense. So once I get that down, this piece is actually adhered. I found this almost tribal leaf pattern from the Cricut Design Space. I just flipped it and then cut two pieces for the top right hand corner and the bottom left hand corner. On Jessica's sketch, she has some leaves and then some splatters. Now I cut this design out with the same color cardstock that I used to back the actual photo hexagons, like that burgundy color, just to bring in some more of the dark purple. And then I trim it off to where I feel that it's going to look best. I didn't want a lot of these tribal swirls to be blocking a lot of the picture. So once I get that adhered, I realized that I hadn't done the title yet. So I go back and on the Cricut Design Space, I pull up the font Comic Sans MS, and I just I take a ruler, I measure out that area where Jessica has the title on the sketch on my layout so that I know the size, get it down to the size I want, and then I offset it so that I can have a background to it, just because there's a lot, well, not a lot, but there's quite a bit going on in this area. I didn't want the title to just blend in too much, so I decided to make the font white, and then I used that burgundy color again as the background, and that just offsets it really nice to where you can read it without straining your eyes. Now, I can go back and do the splatters. I bring in an old toothbrush that I have in my painting area because I wanted more of a spray technique as opposed to like a harsh splatter. I haven't tried it on any of my layouts, and I just wanted to see what it would do. I did like it, but I wanted some more drama to it. So what I end up doing is I bring in it's like a water pen brush, and I just thought putting dots would make it look more dramatic, but I ended up hating it. Like, I almost messed up the layout. See, there it goes right there. So what I do to fix that, because I wasn't going to start all over, I brought in some acrylic paint in some burnt red and added some water and then did the splattering. I ended up adding even more water just so that I can get like clumpy splattering, and I was trying really hard to get like harsh splattering where I put all those dots just to have it blend in, and it did. Eventually it did, and you can't tell that I almost butchered my splatter area. But once I get these down and it dries, that is pretty much going to be the layout. I stayed true to Jessica's sketch. It came out amazing. She did a great job. If you guys haven't already done so, I do have some other links in my description box that'll take you to other people who are playing along. I know that this Series 9 is already done, but those videos are there if you happen to want to share some love. So, you guys take care and stay crafty. Bye.